Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a framework that literally changed how I understand my own mind and, well, my daily performance. We're diving into acclaimed psychologist Daniel Goleman's groundbreaking work on attention, straight from his book Focus. If you're trying to thrive in this crazy, increasingly distracted world, let's explore this together.
Now be honest with me for a second. Have you ever caught yourself scrolling through your phone while someone was sitting right in front of you speaking directly to you? Or maybe you sat down to crush a critical project, and an hour later you realize you've just been jumping between tabs, checking emails, and have accomplished absolutely nothing. Look, don't worry, you are not alone here. In our hyper-saturated modern society, our focus is under constant, relentless assault from all those pings, dings, and notifications.
So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 5 key areas. First, the Engine of Excellence. Second, the Anatomy of Attention. Third, continuous partial attention. Fourth, the Triad of Awareness. And finally, training your mental muscle. Let's dive right into this cognitive map. Giving your brain a structured roadmap like this actually helps reduce cognitive load.
All right, Section 1, the Engine of Excellence.
We really need to reframe how we think about focus. It isn't just a defensive tool to swat away distractions. No, it is the primary, hidden variable behind human excellence, and it functions exactly like a mental muscle. You see, high achievers in sports, business, the arts, science, they don't necessarily have higher raw intelligence or better luck than you. What sets them apart is their extraordinary ability to command their attention, direct it exactly where it's needed, and ruthlessly tune out the noise. When you cultivate deep attention, your brain enters this state of incredible efficiency where neural connections strengthen rapidly. It's basically upgrading your brain's hardware.
Moving right along to Section 2, the Anatomy of Attention.
To really master focus, we have to understand the invisible neurological battle happening right inside our heads. You actually have 2 distinct systems fighting for control. On one side, you have the bottom-up system. This is ancient, it's fast, and it is completely involuntary. It's constantly scanning the environment for bright colors, loud noises, and immediate threats. On the other side is the top-down system, centered right in your prefrontal cortex. This one is modern, voluntary, and deliberate. It's the system you use to read a dense book or solve a complex problem. But here is the massive problem we all face today. Your ancient, lightning-fast bottom-up brain is constantly being hijacked by modern tech. I mean, every single buzz of your phone triggers it. Meanwhile, your deliberate top-down brain is just desperately struggling to maintain control of the wheel.
Which brings us to Section 3, continuous partial attention.
This neurological mismatch leads to a modern crisis you've probably felt but maybe didn't quite have a name for. It's called continuous partial attention. Basically, it's an ongoing state of hypervigilance. Your mind is constantly scanning multiple streams of digital information, just waiting for the next hit of novelty. You know the feeling, checking your inbox during a virtual meeting or mindlessly scrolling while watching a movie. Now, this isn't just your classic multitasking. This is a state that keeps your nervous system locked in a mild but chronic stress response. It's literally pumping out stress hormones that impair cognitive processing, cause profound mental exhaustion, and completely destroy your ability to do any kind of deep work.
Okay, let's look at Section 4, the Triad of Awareness. So, the crucial point is how we fix this, and it requires mastering 3 distinct forms of awareness. The first pillar of this triad is inner focus. This is your ability to tune into your own internal world, your thoughts, physical sensations, emotional states, and values. It is the absolute cornerstone of emotional intelligence. Inner focus is what powers your executive control. When you have strong inner focus, you can actually recognize your emotional triggers before they hijack your behavior. You stay grounded under pressure, and you don't end up a prisoner to automatic, subconscious habits. The second pillar is other focus. This is your ability to tune into the feelings, perspectives, and unspoken needs of the people around you. We're talking about reading subtle cues like a shift in someone's tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language. This is absolutely essential for leadership and building thriving teams. But tragically, because of our constant screen time, our capacity for other focus is rapidly deteriorating. As a result, we're seeing way more miscommunications and a sharp decline in empathy. And the final pillar is outer focus. This is the ability to step back from immediate short-term tasks and really perceive the big picture. You need outer focus to understand complex systems, anticipate market shifts, and predict long-term consequences. Without outer focus, you get trapped in a cycle of short-term firefighting. You end up reacting blindly to daily crises and completely miss the massive structural changes happening right in front of your face.
Let's jump back to other focus for just a moment and see how this builds, because empathy is incredibly nuanced. It's not just about listening, it's an escalation. First, you have cognitive empathy, which is understanding how someone else thinks and understanding their mental model. Then comes emotional empathy, where you're actually physically feeling what they are experiencing, which builds this deep emotional resonance. And finally, compassionate empathy. This means actually taking action to help someone based on that deep understanding. Leaders who master this specific escalation inspire incredible, unwavering trust.
Finally, Section 5, Training Your Mental Muscle. So, how do we systematically build our cognitive agency? Well, there is a super counterintuitive truth here. Mastering focus is not about rigid, painful concentration 100% of the time. When you let your mind drift freely, you actually activate a neural pathway called the default mode network. And guess what? This generates creative breakthroughs. But, and this is a big but, there is a massive difference between productive mind wandering and destructive rumination. Productive mind wandering is relaxed, it's imaginative, and it solves problems in the background. Destructive rumination, on the other hand, is anxious, repetitive, and self-critical. You're just trapped in negative thought loops. So training your mental muscle means knowing when to apply intense concentration and when to deliberately step back and let your mind wander productively.
Now, when it is time to build that intense concentration, this is your workout. We'll call it the mindfulness workout. It is deceptively simple but neurologically profound. Step 1, choose an anchor. Something simple like the physical sensation of your breath. Step 2, notice when your mind inevitably wanders. And trust me, it will, but do it without any self-judgment. Step 3, gently escort your focus back to that anchor. Every single time you pull your attention back, you are doing a literal mental rep. You are actively strengthening your prefrontal cortex, reinforcing that top-down system we talked about earlier. And you take those mental reps and apply them to your daily life through deliberate practice. Listen, merely repeating an action mindlessly for hours will not lead to improvement. Deliberate practice requires total concentration, immediate feedback, and stretching yourself just beyond your current comfort zone. When you combine that intense focus with deliberate practice, you rapidly accelerate your neural adaptation. It's how you master complex skills in a fraction of the normal time. And the fascinating thing is, this isn't just about individual productivity. It scales up to the very top. As Daniel Goleman so brilliantly points out, leaders set the attentional framework for their entire organization. Where a leader directs their focus determines what project receives resources, what culture is fostered, and what long-term strategy is pursued. Think about it. If a leader has inner focus, they're ethically resilient. With other focus, they build psychological safety for their teams. And with outer focus, they navigate global shifts. Focus scales all the way from the individual level straight up to systemic global leadership.
Which brings us to our final thought. To build a successful life, you absolutely must actively protect and nurture your attention. You have to reclaim your cognitive sovereignty from the constant pings and dings. So I'll leave you with this. In a world constantly fighting for your attention, how are you spending your most valuable cognitive resource? Thank you so much for joining me on this structured journey through the incredible science of focus. See you next time on The Explainer.